7 student videographers and 1 photographer from Marysville High School's Communication Arts program joined 35 choir students recently as they traveled to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Our students visited the Supreme Court, Library of Congress, toured the United States Capitol, several Smithsonian museums, and the Newseum. In addition, they were treated to a dinner cruise on the Potomac River. Before leaving on the trip, the students watched a special video featuring Gary Sinise, the actor that played Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump. The video highlighted the Sinise Foundation's work with the World War II veterans. It showed how veterans were flown to New Orleans to tour the World War II Museum. Our students were challenged to use the skills that they have learned in our Communication Arts program to share our nation's great memorials with local veterans. The students filmed at many of the presidential memorials, the World War II Memorial, the Vietnam Wall, the Korean War Memorial, Ford's Theater, the Peterson House, and Arlington National Cemetery, along with the Tomb of Unknown Soldiers. After returning to our classroom, the students began producing short films. Their goal was simple: share these beautiful monuments with the veterans that served our nation when called upon. First, the World War II Memorial, designed to remember all of the Atlantic and Pacific battles, produced by Garrett McLean.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory.
And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. And if, which I do not for a moment believe, this island or a large part of it were subjugated and starving, then our empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, would carry on the struggle until, in God's good time, the new world, with all its power and might, steps forth to the rescue and the liberation of the old.
Stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today.
Our debt to the heroic men and valiant women in the service of our country can never be repaid. They have earned our undying gratitude. America will never forget their sacrifices.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I
Today the guns are silent. A great tragedy has ended. A great victory has been won. The skies no longer rain death. The seas bear only commerce. Men everywhere walk upright in the sunlight.
Next up, Charlie Hall highlights the Korean War Memorial with statues of soldiers on patrol.
The Korean War Veterans Memorial is located in Washington, D.C.'s West Potomac Park, southeast of the Lincoln Memorial and just south of the reflecting pool on the National Mall. Building the memorial began 1986 and it was dedicated on July 27, 1995. It commemorates those who served in the Korean War.
5.8 million Americans served from 1950 to 1953, the 3-year period of the Korean War. The war against international communism was nicknamed the Forgotten War because it was 5 short years after World War II, and the Americans were tired of war. Almost 40,000 Americans died in action in Korea, and more than 100,000 were wounded.
After 3 long years, the war faced a stalemate, but the objective of containing communism was completed, and the countries remained divided at the 38th parallel.
Now, Michael Lansky shares with us his vision of the Vietnam Wall, the symbolism and the seemingly endless names forever etched in our memory.
The Vietnam Veterans Memorial is a 2-acre national treasure. It honors U.S. service members of the U.S. Armed Forces who fought in the Vietnam War, service members who died in service in Vietnam, and those who were missing in action during the war. The memorial currently consists of 3 separate parts: the Vietnam Wall, the 3 Servicemen Memorial, and the Vietnam Women's Memorial. The wall is in Constitution Gardens, adjacent to the National Mall, just northeast of the Lincoln Memorial. The memorial wall was designed by American architect Maya Lin. The selected design was very controversial, in particular, its unconventional design, its black color, and its lack of ornamentation. The memorial wall is designed with 2 gabbro walls, etched with the names of the servicemen being honored in panels of horizontal rows with regular typeface and spacing. The walls are sunk into the ground with the earth behind them. At the highest tip, they are 10.1 feet high, and they taper to a height of 8 inches at their extremities. Symbolically, this is described as a wound that is closed and healing. In 2007, it was ranked 10th on the list of America's favorite architecture by the American Institute of Architects. A short distance away from the wall is another Vietnam memorial, a bronze statue named the Three Servicemen. This statue depicts three soldiers purposely identifiable as European American, African American, and Hispanic American. In the final arrangement, the statue and the wall appear to interact with each other, with the soldiers looking on in solemn tribute at the names of their fallen comrades. The Vietnam Women's Memorial is a memorial dedicated to the women of the United States who served in the Vietnam War, most of whom were nurses. It serves as a reminder of the importance of women in the conflict. It depicts three uniformed women with a wounded soldier. It is part of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and is located on National Mall in Washington, D.C., a short distance south of the wall, north of the reflecting pool.
All Americans know Ford Theater and the Peterson House is the location that President Lincoln was shot, then later died. Connor Kilborn shared with us how the theater and visitor center reminds us of one of our greatest presidents. The Civil War had just ended, spirits were high, and President Lincoln and his wife Mary wanted to go to Ford Theater to have a night to relax after the long war. Little did he know, it would be his last show ever. In the middle of the show, John Wilkes Booth, a renowned actor and Confederate supporter who was upset that the South had lost, busted into the presidential box at Ford's Theater, shooting Lincoln with a Derringer pistol. After shooting the president, he jumped onto the stage, breaking his leg in the process, and escaped by a horse waiting in the alley. With many Union officers in the theater, including surgeons, Lincoln was given prompt medical attention. Lincoln was rushed to the Peterson House across the street from Ford's Theater, where he suffered all night and died the next morning. Today, there is a museum attached to the Peterson House, and Ford's Theater is still occasionally in use. Arlington National Cemetery is the final resting place of thousands of America's bravest. Derek Wilson captured the rolling hills in white markers as he salutes these brave men and women.
On a Virginia hillside rising above the Potomac River and overlooking Washington, D.C., stands Arlington House. The 19th century mansion seems out of place amid more than 250 military grave sites that stretch out below. Yet when construction began in 1802, the estate was not intended to be a national cemetery.
The original builder and owner was George Washington Custis, the adopted grandson of General George Washington. He built the estate to honor his grandfather and hero.
During the American Civil War, the estate property was foreclosed on for back taxes. By May 13, 1864, the property became Arlington National Cemetery, home to deceased military members, former presidents, Supreme Court justices, and American heroes.
On the hilltop overlooking D.C. itself lies the tomb of the unknown soldier. The unknown soldiers buried there represent World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
The unknown tombs are guarded by some of the most respected military members in our history. Army's 3rd Division, also known as the Old Guard, the Sentinels are on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, no matter the weather.
changing of the guard is a highly respected ceremony where an impeccably uniformed relief commander looks over all details of the new guard's uniform and rifle.
The precision, honor, and respect demonstrated by the guards at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers is like no other. Ryan Bennett captured this solemn ceremony to remind us of the sacrifices made by so many.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The ceremony that you are about to witness is the changing of the guard. In keeping with the dignity of this ceremony, it is requested that everyone remain silent and standing.
The ceremony that you are about to witness is an army wreath-laying ceremony. It is requested that everyone remain silent and standing during this ceremony. All military personnel in uniform will render the hand salute, and it is appropriate for all of us to place the right hand over their heart upon the command of present arms.
Stanley Lenarski chronicles our team's adventure, from the 9-hour bus rides to the metro stations and everywhere in between. Our students had fun, experienced new adventures, and learned what our nation's capital has to offer.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Get on the blue, go up to Arlington. Any questions?
The door's closing up straight away.
I was falling apart when you took me by the hand. You know you really took a hold of my heart. Then the color hit the canvas right from the start. When you set the fire burning, now it's burning down.
Photographer Michelle Nowicki compiled her collection of photographs of the entire trip. We hope you enjoyed our students' projects. We are pleased to be able to share our experiences in Washington, D.C., and thank all the men and women who have served our nation. We also thank our M6 sponsors for their support and appreciate the community members that have participated in our fundraising efforts.